At 2:13 a.m., the pier fell silent until a single, piercing scream shattered the night. It wasn't human, but it sounded like grief itself echoing through steel and salt. A dolphin, locked in a tiny tank, was crying, and the world was finally listening. But what happened next will shock even those who thought they'd seen everything. But first, let's go back to the beginning. The pier at Seaside Marina creaked under the weight of another humid summer morning, its boards weathered and gray from decades of salt spray and footsteps. Vendors unlocked stalls of plastic souvenirs and reheated pretzels while gulls circled overhead, screeching into the wind. Just beyond the arcade, Ocean Echo Marine Park opened its gates, like it did every day, with automated cheerfulness and a hollow recorded jingle. But the real reason visitors lined up in the heat wasn't the rides or funnel cake. It was Jasper. Jasper was a bottlenose dolphin, but not just any dolphin. Trainers called him a phenomenon, children called him magical, and tourists called him a miracle. He didn't just whistle or chirp. He sang, mimicked melodies, matched pitch, performed full tunes with startling accuracy. Some said he could mimic the human voice better than a parrot. Others swore he understood the meaning behind the music. Katie Monroe, a marine biologist in her mid-20s, didn't believe in miracles. But Jasper challenged that. She had been there the day he arrived, a young intern with more passion than experience, assigned to observe and record his behavior. Within a week, he had started responding to her voice. Within a month, he had learned the melody she hummed under her breath while checking water levels. Jasper wasn't just intelligent. He was emotionally reactive. He recognized specific faces, responded differently depending on who entered the room. And when Katie laughed, he always whistled a rising note, as if laughing with her. Under her guidance, Jasper became the park's main event. His performances drew crowds twice the size of any other attraction. He leapt through hoops on musical cues, swam in rhythm to classical piano pieces, and ended every show by mimicking the first few bars of Over the Rainbow. But behind the cheers and photo flashes, Katie noticed the signs. Jasper was starting to hesitate before leaping. He hovered at the bottom of the tank longer. His mimicry grew sluggish. He ignored certain cues. Katie logged it all in daily reports: early signs of burnout, possible social isolation, declining motivation. She recommended reduced performance frequency, increased enrichment, and more rest. Upper management replied with a new schedule, adding 2 more shows a day. She protested. They ignored her. Then, one Monday morning, Katie arrived at 6:45 a.m. for water testing. She walked to Tank A, humming like always. But Jasper wasn't there. The pool was still. The gates were locked. His name had already been removed from the performance board. No warning, no explanation, only silence. The official statement from Ocean Echo came less than 6 hours later. Jasper, it claimed, had been moved to a temporary medical tank due to signs of fatigue and would return to performances soon. The park's PR department included a photo of a dolphin, barely visible, swimming in what appeared to be a clean, private pool. Most people didn't question it. Katie did. When she tried to access the animal treatment logs, her credentials were revoked. When she emailed the head vet, there was no reply. She knew something was wrong, not just professionally, instinctively. She had spent years reading Jasper's moods by the flick of his dorsal fin. Now, she was being told to forget him. That afternoon, she walked the restricted path behind the staff offices and stood silently near the fence behind the supply shed. Beyond it was the old quarantine tank, disused for over a year. Cracked concrete walls, no viewing glass, no overhead shade. The water inside was shallow and unnaturally still. Then she saw him. Jasper floated listlessly, his body curved in a tight semicircle. No movement, no sound. His eyes were open, but unfocused. The vibrant, high-frequency clicks she used to hear every morning were gone. Brandon Lee, a junior tank technician, walked up beside her. He looked exhausted. "They moved him here 2 nights ago," he said without prompting. "They're calling it isolation therapy, but they shut off half the filtration. Said it wasn't necessary for a single animal." Katie kept her eyes on Jasper. "He's not sick. He's depressed. You know that." Brandon nodded. "They're prepping the main tank for renovation, turning it into a guest interaction zone. Paid photo ops with fiberglass dolphins and fake coral. They needed space." Later that night at 2:13 a.m., the scream came. Not a whistle, not a call. A scream. It cut through the marina like a siren, high, sharp, and sustained. Dock workers stopped mid-step. One couple ran out of their hotel room onto the balcony. A man fishing off the pier dropped his rod. A teenager filmed it, posted the clip online with a simple caption. "What the hell is that noise?" The video hit 1.2 million views by morning. Jasper had found a way to be heard, and the world was finally listening. Katie knew the park wouldn't stop lying. The next morning, Ocean Echo's media team doubled down. They called the viral scream audio manipulation and insisted Jasper was in excellent health. They released a new photo of a dolphin in a shallow pool surrounded by smiling staff. But it wasn't Jasper. Katie could tell immediately. The dorsal fin curve was wrong. The scars on the side were missing. It was a stock photo, staged to calm the public. She didn't respond with words. She responded with evidence. That same day, she uploaded her own video. It opened with a clip from 2 years ago. Jasper, mid-performance, rising from the water in perfect timing with the orchestra playing in the background. The crowd roared. Then the image cut to the current tank. Green water, cracked cement, Jasper, barely moving. And then the scream. Raw, uncut, unedited. She titled the video, "He Gave Us Songs. We Gave Him Silence." In under 24 hours, the clip passed 3 million views. Celebrities reposted it. Animal rights activists launched hashtags. Protesters gathered at the gates of Ocean Echo. The park closed public access early that evening without explanation. Inside, Katie kept going. She leaked internal documents to a marine ethics journalist. One report showed that 2 water pumps servicing the quarantine tank had been deactivated to reduce operating costs. Another revealed an internal memo pushing to increase revenue by converting Jasper's main habitat into a selfie zone. No mention of his welfare. No veterinary recommendation. Just profit projections. She took a water sample from the quarantine tank at midnight. She stored it in a sealed container and drove it 40 miles to an independent marine lab. 2 days later, the results came back. High ammonia, dangerous bacterial levels, oxygen depletion, toxic to mammals. She posted the results. Then she posted one sentence. "This isn't rest. It's rot." By that evening, animal welfare authorities arrived with warrants. Armed with lab results, footage, and public pressure, they entered the facility with full legal access. Jasper was declared in critical distress and ordered into immediate relocation. Derek Caldwell was arrested on site for falsifying animal care records and obstruction of investigation. Katie didn't celebrate. She stood by the transport trailer and watched the crew carefully lift Jasper into a soft rescue sling. His body trembled. His eyes were open but dim. It was almost over, but not yet. The sling was padded and wet, designed to support Jasper's weight without pressure on his organs. 4 handlers moved in silence, securing straps, checking vitals, keeping him stable. His skin was dull. His breath came shallow. One flipper twitched as if in reflex, not will. The helicopter hovered above the marina, blades sending salt and paper scraps flying across the empty park lot. It wasn't a dramatic rescue. No reporters, no crowd cheering. Just professionals doing a job that should have never been necessary. Jasper was lifted slowly into the air, a suspended curve of gray and sorrow, carried toward a place that didn't want anything from him. The Pacific Marine Sanctuary was a private, protected inlet far from tourists and shows. No glass walls, no spotlights, just ocean, sand, and other dolphins like him. Animals broken by performance, retired from captivity, relearning how to swim for themselves. Katie followed by car, alone. No team, no permit, no uniform. Just her and the silence of Coastal Highway. When she arrived, the sun was setting behind the cliffs. A sanctuary official met her at the gate, nodded once, then led her down a narrow path to the shoreline. There he was. Jasper had already been lowered into the water, held in a floating stretcher while specialists monitored his breathing. He didn't swim yet, but he floated better. His eye blinked, his jaw flexed. One trainer softly tapped the surface with a rhythm, the same one Katie used to hum. And then he made a sound. It wasn't loud. It wasn't a melody. But it wasn't a scream. It was a short whistle, weak but formed, like a single note trying to find its place in a forgotten song. Katie didn't speak. She couldn't. She just watched as Jasper slowly rolled his body and drifted forward, leaving the stretcher behind. A second dolphin approached from the deeper inlet, circled once, then swam alongside him. No one moved. No one clapped. The next morning, the sanctuary released a single sentence to the public. Subject responding positively. First signs of vocalization observed. Katie returned to the seaside marina days later, not as staff, but as a visitor. The park was shut down, the gates locked with caution tape. She walked alone to the railing near Jasper's old tank, now dry and silent. And from far beyond the waves, carried on the wind, came a faint, rising whistle. She closed her eyes. He was still singing.